within the HBCU ranks. And atop that list, like I always talk about, one of the most popular names on this list is Coach T.C. Taylor. Coach T.C. Taylor is now the head coach at Jackson State. He was the recruiting coordinator at junior college for quite some time before moving up to North Carolina Central as a coach. His alma mater is Jackson State. He broke the receiving record. He has the most receiving yards for any Jackson State receivers ever. He's the guy. And Coach T.C. Taylor has brought his recruiting wherewithal over to Jackson. He's brought it. I had them ranked as my #1 HBCU recruiting class this past year for good reason. Even though they've lost a lot of players, Coach T.C. Taylor has really found a way to continuously bring in talent. And that is one thing that not all coaches have. Everybody can't do that. Everybody doesn't have the knack to bring in talent. Some guys may bring in football guys, but bringing in talent, guys that don't just look good on film, guys that actually translate, like Seven McGee, is a feat in and of itself. So let's get into we'll get a good look at this Jackson State schedule. That's really what I want to take a look at. So let's get into it. I think a good mark for Jackson State this year would be 7 wins. 7 wins is a solid mark for me. It's a place where you can still have room for improvement, and you also can still compete for a SWAC championship. Because of your non-conference games against South Carolina State and Texas State, your first 6 games are extremely difficult. You have a very tough track to start the season. 3 top SWAC teams play Texas State plus South Carolina State. Got to be real about this. So let's check out the schedule. Let's check it out. Here's the schedule. Jackson State schedule 2023. Start the season off MEAC SWAC Challenge against South Carolina State. It's going to be a tough game. Very tough matchup. Then you go to Miami to play Florida A&M, Orange Blossom Classic. Now you also got Southern the week after that, which is a little tough. I'm not going to lie. I'm not sure who scheduled that. And then after that, you play Texas State. Texas State just got a commitment from T.J. Finley, quarterback at Auburn. He's a 4-star quarterback, played at Auburn for the past 3 years. Pretty good quarterback. He's going to look to start anew at Texas State. Along with that, Texas State is also one of the best Group of 5 recruiting classes. So something to watch out for. But next week you bounce back, play Bethune-Cookman. Then you got Alabama A&M, who may still be looking for a quarterback, hopefully not. And you got Alabama State, Mississippi Valley. So this is the easier stretch in your season, right? After Bethune-Cookman, Alabama A&M, now Bama State, a little softer. Valley, come on. UAPB, come on. Texas Southern, we're not sure what they're going to be, but this is going to be a game at Jackson, right? Which means a lot for Jackson State when it comes to bringing their home crowd and having that home field advantage. Then, lastly, we got the Soul Bowl. It's going to be in Jackson, Mississippi this year also. So they'll end the season on 2 home games that are tough games, but at home, which helps a lot. So I think 7 wins is very realistic for Jackson State. 7 or higher. I think that this Jackson State team has a good chance at really going for a run for the SWAC championship. It's going to come down to the Florida A&M game as always. Now, next up, we got Mississippi Valley and what Mississippi Valley's schedule looks like. So with Kendrick Wade, Coach Kendrick Wade is a new head coach at Mississippi Valley. He is also from Mississippi Valley. His alma mater is there. He went to Mississippi Valley, graduated in 2007. Also played there. Now with Kendrick Wade, what you're looking at is an extremely youthful staff. A staff of coaches that are very privy to the social media era. We're talking about a staff that just did mic'd up for 4 different coaches during spring football training. They're ahead of the curve. There is no other SWAC school doing mic'd up other than Jackson State. They did it with a couple of players. So Mississippi Valley has never had no mic'd up. But keep it real. Mississippi Valley also has one of the lowest athletic recruiting budgets and athletic budgets in the nation, period. FBS, FCS, they have one of the lowest. They make it do with the smallest amount. What they're doing now, social media-wise, is going to push their brand more forward than they ever could have thought of. Now, I think Kendrick Wade, taking the torch from Coach Vincent Dancy, who took a job up at Colorado with Coach Prime, is going to be able to turn the corner for Mississippi Valley. I think Mississippi Valley had very formidable teams in the past 2 or 3 years with Coach Vincent Dancy. Great defensively and great discipline. They could not turn the curve. They couldn't get over the corner. I'm not sure if it was the quarterback play or the offensive line play, but they definitely work hand in hand. So let's get into their schedule. Let's check out the schedule for Kendrick Wade and what they have coming up. They have a favorable schedule. They started the season off against 2 Division II opponents. You play Central State of the SIAC in Ohio, and you play Delta State, one of your rivals, down the street. And tough game is going to be at Delta State. I say it's a tough game. I know it's a D2 team, but they lost this D2 team last year. Okay, they lost to them. Delta State was much better last year also. They lose their top receiver and their top quarterback, who was also their top passer and rusher. So I think we got a good chance here, Valley, to start the season off 2-0. Then you go up to North Carolina Central, which is going to be a very tough game. Not sure if Valley will make it out of that. Another tough game in Florida A&M. Doesn't help at all. You got Prairie A&M after that. So a tough 3-game stretch after your first 2 games. To me, Valley winning 5+ games is a win. They haven't done that in quite a while. So after Prairie A&M, you got University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Play UAPB, then go to Jackson State, which is a tough matchup. These next 2 games are tough. Jackson State, Alcorn State, back-to-back. Tough Mississippi matchups. Then you go to Bethune-Cookman, Daytona Beach, and you finish the season against the Alabamas, Alabama State and Alabama A&M. This is a pretty difficult schedule. You start the schedule off pretty soft with your nice non-conference, but as the conference schedule ramps up, woo! Woo! I mean, in between going against these Mississippi schools and then having to play the Alabama schools soon after, I mean, geez. Hello. If there's ever a time to wake up, it's going to be these last 5 games for this Mississippi Valley team. If you want to get to that 5-win mark, they're going to at least have to win 2 of these 5 games here. At least 2. If I bookmark them for winning the 2 D2 games earlier in the year, they do have a day with Arkansas Pine Bluff. You do have a tough stretch at the end. If you can squeak out 5 wins, I'd be very impressed with Kendrick Wade and what his coaching staff can do. So our last coach is Coach Quin Gray of Albany State. If you're a Florida A&M fan, you'd recognize the face. He was an all-star standout quarterback for Florida A&M. He was that guy. He was a guy that could do it on the field and then leaves and does it with the X's and O's. He's a great coach. He's moved on from a couple different universities. Most recently, it's been Memphis University, where he was an offensive analyst. But before then, he was an offensive coordinator. And offensive coordinator at Florida A&M, if I'm not mistaken. So as Coach Quin Gray takes over Albany State and really is going to try to take the torch from Coach Gabe Guardiola and what he's done with back-to-back SIAC championships and things of that matter, we're going to see a very athletic Albany State team. From everything I've got in the spring, we're going to see a very athletic Albany State team. I think we'll see a team that looks a little closer to what we've seen out of Bowie State in 2022, where a lot of the guys fly around. You got a bunch of pro guys that are simply developing more and more every year. That's what we saw under Coach Damon Wilson at Bowie State. Players develop year after year. We saw Raymond Boone develop year after year. We saw Josh Pryor develop year after year. Same thing with Khalil Wilkins, too, at running back. With Albany State right now, there's a bunch of athletes. We got our new spread system being input into this Albany State team. We're not going to see the run-heavy, on the ground and pound style Albany State team. We're going to see a more wide open looking offense and a philosophy that's based on throwing the ball, keeping the ball in the air, which means to me, this Albany State team can honestly open Pandora's box with the spread passing attack in the SIAC. This is a run-heavy league. I talked to you about Allen University, and we saw what Allen has done in the past couple years. The quarterback I was speaking about, David Allen, led the SIAC in passing 2 years ago just by using Allen's spread pass attack. I think it'd be very easy for Albany State to also use a similar passing attack to attack this SIAC conference and really put everybody on notice about really covering the ball in the air. Okay, let's play defense, get some passes. So let's check out this schedule. It's our last schedule of the evening, guys, but this is a Division II schedule. Week 1, you play Wingate. Wingate is a pretty good team, all right? I'll say before we go through the rest of the schedule, Albany State winning 6 games to me would be very positive. 6 games to me still puts you in line for SIAC championship if you win the right games, because quite honestly, these 2 non-conference games are going to be very difficult. Very difficult. Now, Wingate did a very good job last year. If they finish the season beating 2 HBCU opponents before losing. So this is a very formidable opponent in week 1. Albany State will take them on Thursday. Not sure which way that will go. The next week you play Valdosta State, right? Valdosta State fell off a cliff last year. They brought a new coach, a very good coach, by the way, but he did not live up to expectations, and they went 6-5. We saw Virginia Union beat them 45-40 last year. So there is a chance for our Albany State Rams to get a win against Valdosta State. That game will be in Albany State. So it'll be a great matchup to bring at the house, I think. Now, next up, you got Savannah State, which I think is a pretty good matchup for Albany State. I think they'll take advantage. Then Kentucky State, another game they'll take advantage. Central State, give me another dub. Keep lining them up. And then Allen University now. Getting to Allen. I think Allen in the middle of the season is a little dangerous, all right? It's a team to watch out for, a team that can knock you off if you're playing with them. But nonetheless, I think Albany State will handle business. Then you got Edward Waters. Edward Waters is another formidable opponent. That game is going to be in Florida. We're going to learn in the next couple of years what type of advantage, home field advantage, that Edward Waters has playing in that $4.3 million stadium. All grass, jumbotron, 2 sides, fits around 5,000 people. We're going to see what type of home field advantage Edward Waters has very soon. Then we got Miles College and Fort Valley State to end the season. So Albany State has a decent schedule. They got a pretty good draw for the difficult teams in the SIAC if you're thinking about it. You really only face off against Fort Valley State this year. The rest of your opponents, quite honestly, are mincemeat. If we're looking at Savannah State, Morehouse, Kentucky, and Central State like they're going to knock off Albany, I mean, don't hold your breath. We got to be real about this situation. This Albany State team is in a pretty good situation to make it back to the SIAC championship if they handle business. We'll see, but I think Coach Quin Gray will put them on the right path to a good season, finishing the season strong,